Hey, it's Sue.
And Megan in the restricted section.
Oh shit, I need to turn the air off because it's so fucking loud in the videos.
Loud AF.
Hey, it's Sue.
And Megan in the restricted section.
And today we're going to do our Read-O-Rama Wrap Up.
Yes, we're going to talk about how well we did or didn't do during Read-O-Rama.
Yep.
And we're going to drink this Ozarks Lager from Piney River Brewing Company.
Yep.
Yup.
Cheers. Have you had this before?
I have not. Have you?
Mm-mm. It's a pretty good lager.
Yeah. I dig it.
Alright, so the Read-a-thon had 8 challenges.
Yes.
And I completed 6.
Damn.
I was so close to completing all of them, and I'm so mad that I didn't, but I completed 6
Damn.
out of the 8 challenges.
You stomped me. I completed 3 of the 8 challenges. Yeah.
Shall we get into the books we completed?
Let us do this thing. Do you want me to hold yours?
No, I'm good.
Can be your bookshelf.
So the first one I finished was B is for Beer by Tom Robbins. And I read this one for the challenge of reading a book less than 150 pages. And this is a children's book, and I didn't like it very much. I think I gave it 2 stars. It just was like, it didn't seem that appropriate for children, not necessarily because it was about beer, but because, like, first of all, the child in this book gets drunk and throws up at one point on her 6th birthday. And then, like, there's this beer fairy who takes her on an adventure and talks about beer, which, like, also I kind of felt like, what kid is gonna care? Like,
beer.
I was getting bored in it. So, like, what kid is gonna want to read this?
And a 6-year-old that gets lit on their 6th birthday.
Yeah. And it was, like, kind of depressing. It's like her dad never, was never around and was always gone on work trips or golf trips. And then when he was home, he was just in his man cave watching sports. And so, and then her parents end up getting divorced. And it had a happy ending, but it was kind of depressing. But anyway, at one point, this beer fairy tells her not to drink beer again until she's at least 18. This is set in the United States, where the legal drinking age is 21.
21, motherfuckers, 21.
So, beer fairy, you're off by a couple years. Yeah, so I don't know. I didn't think it was very good.
Yeah. Wah, wah.
Womp womp.
You should probably go again.
Alright, the next one I finished was The Diving Pool by Yoko Ogawa. And this was for the challenge of reading a book with water on the cover. And this is actually 3 novellas in one, and it's translated from the Japanese by Stephen Snyder. I think it was Japanese, I'm pretty sure. And this was interesting.
This was interesting.
It was interesting. I gave it 3 stars. I'm not even sure what to say about it because it was just weird, and the first and the third story, I would say that I kind of liked them. Mm-hmm. The middle story, I didn't understand the middle story, I'll be honest. Like, at the end, I was just like, what?
What the fuck?
Like, I don't know what the fuck that was about. And I mean, the first and third stories were also weird, and I probably didn't understand them either.
But they were at least likable.
Likable is a strong word, too. They were interesting, and I kind of liked them.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not, it's a hard book to talk about, I think, because it was just odd. And I've never really read Japanese literature before.
Okay.
I don't think. Either. So I don't know because I know there's a lot of people on BookTube who are really into Japanese literature. And I don't know if that's, like, typical of Japanese literature to be like this, but it was really weird.
It was really fucking weird. The first challenge that I completed was read a graphic novel, and I read Batman the Killing Joke, which I borrowed from Sue. I really liked this. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was not as fucked up as I was expecting it to be. I was expecting a lot more fucked upness. Yeah. But I was okay with the fact that it wasn't that fucked up. Like, well, it was, but not as bad as I thought.
That's good. I actually still haven't read it.
It's really
my
good.
book, and I haven't read it yet. And the next one I finished was also for the challenge of reading a graphic novel. And I read Ms. Marvel, Volume 1, No Normal, by G. Willow Wilson and Adrian Alfona. And I enjoyed this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, I think. An enjoyable read, and I really liked how they kind of incorporated stuff about, like, her culture and her family life and stuff, because she's Muslim in the story, without it being, I don't know, like, it wasn't, like, obvious that they were, like, trying to do that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it still flowed well with the story. The only thing is that I feel like maybe I would have enjoyed it more if I had more knowledge of the Marvel Universe.
Okay.
Because it talks about other characters that I'm like, I don't really know anything about.
Right.
So, but I enjoyed it.
I've heard good things about it. I wouldn't mind checking it out. Should probably
Do you want me to go again? Alright, the next book I finished was for the challenge of read a book with Rama in the title and or author name. So I read Love, Dishonor, Marry, Die, Cherish, Perish by David Rakoff. And I was pleasantly surprised by this. I actually really liked it. And it's written in verse, so that's a little odd and could be off-putting. It's got some, like, cool illustrations throughout it of the characters, which I really like the style. Oh look, it's Susan.
Susan.
She was a bitch.
Well.
She also changed her name like twice. But anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed it. There were like parts where it was a little, like the writing was a little clunky because he was like trying to make everything rhyme. But for the most part, I actually thought it flowed pretty well, and he got really creative with the language, and I enjoyed that. It's not, you'd think that since it rhymes, it'd be like a fun, happy book.
It is not.
It's not. It's pretty depressing and gets kind of disturbing at points, but it's also funny. There's definitely humor in it as well, so I enjoyed it.
The next book I read was David Bowie, The Last Interview and Other Conversations, and this is just interviews with David Bowie compiled. Honestly, this, like, I thought this would be a faster read than it was, but it, like, kind of slowed me up a little bit, and I don't know if it was because a lot of these interviews took place in, like, the 70s, and I have no personal frame of reference for the 70s,
Yeah.
so I didn't get a lot of the pop culture references, like, in the interviews, because I don't know what was going on in the 70s, so
You weren't alive.
I was not alive. Once it got into the 80s and 90s, then it went a little faster for me, but I think it was just the cultural references I didn't get.
Alright, and the next one I completed the challenge of Read an Own Voices book, and I read I Am the Beggar of the World. This is Land Days from Contemporary Afghanistan, translated by Eliza Griswold. And there's photographs by Seamus Murphy inside. And Land Days are just really short little, like, 2-line poems, or they're actually, like, sung by women in Afghanistan. It's traditionally, like, a women's thing to do. They weren't, like, super, you know, intellectual in any way. Like, a lot of them had to do with sex, and there was some about war, and, like, for example, this one says, "For God's sake, I'll give you a kiss, don't fret. Stop shaking my pitcher and getting me wet." So just, like, things dealing with their, like, everyday lives, kind of. But I thought it was really interesting, and the author put in, like, sort of little sections to explain what some of them meant, or, you know, the context or whatever. And then Yeah, there's photographs. So it was pretty good. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Should I do my last one?
Yeah, go ahead. I got one more to do, but you go ahead.
The last one I finished was for the challenge of reading a book that was published in the summer. And I read Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk, which was published in August, I think, of 1997, I believe. This was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I do agree with Megan that I don't think it really lived up to the hype. But I think I liked it a little bit better than you did.
Yeah.
So I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was pretty good. It was clever. I do think that also, I'd never seen Fight Club the movie either, but I still knew how it ended. Like, it had been spoiled for me, or I knew the twist. And I do think that kind of ruined the book a little bit, because, like, from the beginning I knew, as I was reading it, I'm like, nope. You know what I mean? But for the most part, I did like it.
It's not bad. I think I gave it 3 stars. The last one that I read was Never Let Me Go by Katsuo Ishiguro.
Katsuo Ishiguro.
Yep, that. I cannot say that. I know how to
I
say
might be
it,
saying it wrong too.
but I can't make my mouth do that. And that, I don't have my copy of it. That was my book for Read a Book with Water on the
I
cover.
have a copy of it that I could have let you hold up, but
That's alright. On my copy, they're running, like, on a pier, like, toward the water.
I'm not sure if mine's a different edition. I don't know if it has water on it or not.
Mine's a stupid
It
movie
might.
cover.
Oh,
I didn't realize that when I bought it, or I probably would have not bought it.
it's not a bad movie cover.
It's not, but I just don't like the books with the movie covers.
Yeah.
But I really liked that book. I thought it was really beautiful, but it was, like, really, I don't know, it kind of fucked me up a little bit when I read it. But yeah, I really, really liked it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars.
All right.
Yes. Yes.
So, and this beer's pretty good.
It is pretty good.
It's nothing like fantastic, but it's decent.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we did at Read-O-Rama. If you participated, let us know how you did.
Yes, and as usual, there'll be some links down below where you can find us elsewhere on social media.
And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do.
Do it.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.